Good evening here on the Central Riverhawks YouTube channel. I'm Joel McCall, visiting now with Mitch Olson. He is the head coach of the Central Riverhawks football team. We're sitting at 5-3, 4-1 in the NBC after a 48-28 win over Sparta. I actually thought it was 47-28, but I must have the final score wrong. Coach, thanks a lot for being with us. Thanks.
Happy to be talking to you, Joel.
After a W, of course, it's always better, right?
Always better after a win. Yep.
Well, 320 yards of rushing, big night for Shepard, 139 yards, 3 touchdowns. And really, I'm going to start with the offense just because I thought every time that Sparta kind of answered to get it to two score game, it just seemed like the offense always had an answer.
Yeah. The whole offensive unit just really, all throughout conference play, has just been so good and so consistently good for us. And sometimes the best defense is a good offense, I guess. And just the way that in our offense can do it in a number of different ways. They can grind out really long drives. And we hit some explosive plays through the air. So there's just a lot of things that we're doing well on that side of the ball right now.
Yeah, it was a big night for Pangier as well, catching the ball, and really he looked impressive. Did you feel like that was his best game overall?
Um, Statistically, it was definitely his best game. That talent has been there the whole year. Um, you know, Sometimes it's a little difficult to justify throwing the ball when you're running the ball so effectively, though. But we always knew that Derek could do that, and we found ourselves in some situations where, I guess it was just kind of right, and we felt good about taking those shot plays. But he's a really talented kid. He's a good route runner. He's smart. And I know we've talked before about what he does blocking for us and his ability to spring the big play. So I was just happy for him personally that he's been blocking his butt off all year, and we know what a talented receiver he is when it comes to catching the ball and then the run after the catch. But it was really good just to see him get a little bit of love.
Yeah, it sure was. And yeah, on the defensive side, 6 sacks plus a fumble recovery. He did have an INT as well from Jones on that defensive side. Sparta, it just seemed like they kind of beat themselves a few times when they had some positive plays and be a penalty, or they had the fumble between True and Ott on a just simple exchange, and True would miss when he missed high, which got Jones that INT. So your defense really played well when the opportunity was there to get the ball as well as corral, McTaggart, who really has been one of the finest running backs in the conference.
Yeah, there's a couple plays here and there that we'd like to have back. I thought for the most part our coverage was pretty good in the defensive backfield, and that allowed some of those pass rushers to get an extra half second to get after the quarterback. So that was good to see. I thought that we handled Matagert pretty well. Because he has been a very good back all year for Sparta. So I thought we played well up front. There's just a couple things here that we still got to get cleaned up.
Well, that's very true. But, well, I think you know where I'm probably going after discussing the win over Sparta. I think the question now goes to Christian Rudrud. So we know that he
Hmm.
got hurt on the second to last or the last play of the first half or second to last play. I don't remember which one it was, coach. So can you give us any kind of an update? I have to ask because fans are going to want to know too. What's the status of Christian Rudrud?
And the honest answer is, Joel, I really don't know. I do know one thing for certain, and that's that I would never count that kid out. So we'll see where he's at as the week goes on, but he's as tough as they come. So we'll take a look where things are at later in the week.
Well, hopefully he gets an opportunity to, go to the doctor, figure things out, because I know on the field it didn't look very good. Just an odd tackle is kind of what ended up happening, I think, from behind. And then, as Nami put it, kind of one of those hip tackles if you missed it on the broadcast. So, which is now going to be taken down. So by the time this is up, that's down, and then all the football will be right back up at the end of the year. You do have a big game coming up, the Battle of the Ark. It's coming up this Friday. Logan is 4-2, and boy, was I ever a Ranger fan on Friday night because I was hoping for a true champion in the MVC between you and Logan, but they ended up losing in overtime 17-14 to Holman. They were down 14 to nothing heading into the second half, and they converted on like a fourth down at 25 to keep their drive alive. Ended up scoring that touchdown and the 2-point conversion just to get it to overtime. You know that Bradley Check is one of the finest, outstanding athletes that you're going to see all year long, and he's got some buddies around him too that can make some great plays.
Yeah, really, really talented kid. He's throwing the ball well, and obviously he's tough to bring down in the run game. And they have a lot of talented kids. But Bradley Check, really Bradley Check, and their two-way lineman Christian Parcher. It's kind of old school throwback football players. And as far as just being a fan and watching, there aren't too many kids out there than you'd rather watch play football. I know that watching them throughout the year, it's always fun just for me to sit back and watch what those two are doing, because it's a lot of fun watching those two play football.
Well, what have you seen overall of their season for the Rangers, and what do you expect coming up on Friday night?
Well, we know Check's going to be carrying the ball a lot, and he's going to be throwing it when he's not carrying it. So, that's pretty obvious. But they have some other talented players around him too. Hackbarth at 6'5" or 6'6", is another two-way player that has done a really good job for them. Being that tall, and he's a heck of an athlete too. He does a great job going up and high pointing the ball. So that'll be a challenge for us. They have a good offensive line. And then Check's younger brother is a pretty good player too. That always has the potential to take it to the house when his ball is in the hand. So we've just got to be sound. Play disciplined and execute on both sides of the ball. And if we can do that, we should have a shot at winning the game.
Oh, there's your keys. Get the Battle of the Ark. Last year was a great game. Logan ended up having a late turnover as the Riverhawks forced it and were able to win the game. You know what's on the line too, because the MVC title. I can't remember if it's Reedsburg and Holman, I think, coming up too. So we'll see. There's also a way that somehow the whole entire conference could take a five-way tie for a championship. So I guess you just cut it like a piece of pie. I have no idea how else you'd share five ways. But Coach, get to your question of the week then, so I can get you home.
Yeah. I was really racking my brain for this one, and then I saw a poster of Muhammad Ali. So I was just wondering, maybe who's your favorite athlete of all time, Joel?
My favorite athlete of all time,
Yeah.
I'd say Bo Jackson.
Oh,
I mean,
the baseball and football. Is that what gives him the bump? Is that he was two-sport professional athlete?
probably. I mean, he might be the greatest what if as well, just because he did get hurt and whatnot. And when I really was growing up, I followed the Raiders because I lived near Kansas City and all the Chiefs fans around me. So I just started liking the Raiders because they were the rival of the Chiefs. But then Bo came around and it's like, all right, well, I like that guy. And then the Tecmo Super Bowl came out and the guy was unstoppable. So,
Oh my
um,
gosh, yeah.
yeah. So I have
I, my buddy had the Tecmo when we were in college, and it always had to be random teams, because if you had Bo Jackson, my gosh, you're guaranteed to win.
or if you had the Giants, then you could just play as Lawrence Taylor the whole time and stop everyone. So you could do
Yeah.
one of two. But yeah, I believe there is a way currently that you could play Tecmo Super Bowl with the current rosters. I believe there's a
Oh
way of doing
wow.
it. So I'm not exactly sure how that works, but I have seen that in the past. I think it's like a ROM or something like that where It's an only online thing, but I have seen that, so it's pretty cool that you could still do that to this day. But I'm gonna go with
That
Bojack.
is that's a good pick. It's a respectable choice.
If you were to say my favorite player of all time, that's a different story. But I would say the greatest athlete that I've rooted for would be Bo Jackson.
Who's your favorite?
My favorite athlete of all time, my favorite player would be the guy that said that right there. I just want to make a difference, and then ended up
That was
winning 5 championships, and that would be Tim Duncan.
a big fundamental.
Yeah. See, I told you how boring I am. Well, there you go. He's not flashy. He didn't do anything too, highlight worthy, but he went out there and beat everyone. So there
Oh,
you
he's
go.
good. Also a good swimmer. Did you know that?
I did. That's actually what he wanted to be. And then I believe his like home pool got destroyed in some kind of I don't remember if it wasn't a fire, but somehow that building got destroyed. And then he didn't have anywhere to go train. So then he turned to basketball.
Interesting. I didn't know that part.
Yeah. So, yep, I would say Tim Duncan definitely my favorite of all time. But if anybody's out there watching and hasn't figured out who Bo Jackson is, because there's a lot of youngsters that have no idea who he is, just look him up. There's a great 30 for 30 on him as well, but just try to find some highlights. He was amazing. And you know what
Yeah.
else is going to be amazing, Coach?
What's that?
The Battle of the Ark. That's what we're going to have on
Oh,
Friday night right here on the Central YouTube channel. As Nami will be back with us by then, and he'll be with me over at Logan High School, and we'll be covering that one. 7 o'clock is the kickoff. We'll probably have the warm up around 6:45, and then this week we also have volleyball. We do have 2 broadcasts. We'll have the Sparta matchup on Tuesday night at home. That is senior night. And then Thursday night, Ray and I will be up at Logan for the volleyball match as well, as that concludes the regular season, as does the Battle of the Ark coming up on Friday, which is insane. So I can't believe that we're already on the last week of the regular season for fall sports, but here we are, Coach. And best of luck to you and the Riverhawks moving forward. Send me some starters once you know some of the status of some of your guys. Hopefully you will by Friday night.
sounds good. Thank you, Joel. Looking forward to Friday night.
You bet. That's Coach Olson. Then I'm Joel McCall. Thank you so much for being a part of our broadcast here on the Central Riverhawks YouTube channel.